consider others before you consider yourself. To protect your brother, even from himself. To give support at your own expense. And when wearing the black and gold suit of armor, make sure nobody desecrates it, disrespects it. Most importantly, we ourselves don't dishonor it. From previous legends who have donned the black and gold. These virtues I learned while playing for the Steelers are what make the legacy of the black and gold timeless. They are passed down in the locker room from the steel curtain to anyone who valiantly wears the black and gold. Creating a brotherhood that is deeper than money, business, and winning. To be a Steeler is to consider others before you consider yourself. This is our culture, Steeler culture.
Now, here are your hosts, Rob and Dan, the Steel Twins.
Steeltwins Nation, what is going on? Thank you guys for tuning in for yet another edition of the Steeler Culture Podcast, where we break down Pittsburgh Steelers football. This episode is powered by our great friends over at BetUS Sportsbook and Casino, and we are here live on this Thursday night to talk about the first matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens this season for Week 11.
Not just the first matchup between the Steelers and the Ravens, arguably one of the best rivalries in the NFL, but the first matchup for the Steelers in the entire AFC North Division. First of all, the first of 4 in the next month and the first of 6 for this entire second half stretch. But who better to start off that run than the Baltimore Ravens, who are 7-3 right now, second place in the AFC North. They started 0-2 and have gone 7-1 in their last 8 games. And this is a battle for first place in the AFC North.
Yeah, as it says in the title, and just like the Steelers tweeted out earlier, they know us and we know them. I mean, the Steelers and Ravens, it's quite a history. We all know, how it is every time these teams meet up, no matter who's in a quarterback, no matter who's the coaches, no matter what the circumstances are, it's always bound to be a barn burner.
It's one of those situations where you throw everything out the window.
Oh, of course.
Throw stats, throw whoever's playing out the window, throw whoever they have out the window. It's just two teams that go at it, and it's a dogfight every single time.
Every time it's a match that every NFL fan, not just Steelers and Ravens, every NFL fan is always anticipated to watch and see.
Yeah.
And this one has a lot at stake here for both teams.
A lot at stake early on into the season. And I know it is the first game between these two teams, but this will definitely have later on playoff implications. So a win here for the Steelers is a must. Now, they've won 4 straight, which is very good. It's very good.
A lot of momentum on their side.
A lot of momentum, absolutely. The Ravens are coming off 2 straight. They're coming off a comeback victory, as a matter of fact, versus the Bengals on Thursday night just a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Or a week ago today, but they had a mini bye from last week. So they got a little more rest time than the Steelers did. So this is going to be an interesting battle, man. This is the Steelers and Ravens. Lamar versus the Steelers. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about everything.
We know.
We'll talk about everything regarding the Steelers and the Ravens, man. But we want to thank you guys for joining us tonight while we preview the Steelers versus Ravens matchup on Thursday night. There's a poll in the chat for you guys. Is Lamar Jackson MVP so far this season? 53% of you guys say no. I'll be real with you guys, man. I don't know how you look at everything and say he's not.
I mean, just look at the stats on the stat sheet right there. I mean, he's second in passing yards. I mean, he's tied first with touchdowns with, I think, Burrow, and I think Baker's even up there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, you look at the record-wise between the Bengals and the Buccaneers compared to
The Ravens.
I mean, it's like the record absolutely plays a big factor in the conversation. So, Lamar could be looking at winning his second straight and third MVP. I don't know.
It's crazy, man. For a running back at quarterback, you got to give him his flowers just a little bit. We'll talk about it. But thank you guys for joining us live tonight for the Steelers versus Ravens preview, man. We just hit 18,000 subscribers.
18K, man.
This week we hit 18K, so we greatly appreciate that. We want to get that out the way, and thank you guys so much for the continued support over the years. You guys are phenomenal every week, every year, honestly. It seems like we just keep building on upon this, and 18K is just mind-blowing to think about. So thank you guys so much for that. And with that being said, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video. This live stream is sponsored by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino as we take a look at, first of all, we got to take a look at what's happening tomorrow night, as a matter of fact. We got Tyson versus Paul. That's not something I thought I'd say a year ago, but we got Tyson versus Paul tomorrow. You guys are free to put in any of your wagers for that game via BetUS. Tyson is the underdog.
What?
Yes. Tyson's the underdog.
Dude, I hope Tyson mops the floor of Paul.
I'm hoping too, man. I will be watching. It's going to be, it could be one of those things where this is just an exhibition and Tyson's paid off, or it's super, super tame. I'm hoping that's not the case, and I'm hoping we all get what we want to get. But if you guys want to put your wagers on it, all of tomorrow's festivities is for tomorrow, man. As well as, of course, they got live wagering on all major sports. Right now, it's the Commanders versus Eagles is currently 10 versus 3, and the Eagles are still the underdog here. So if you guys want to take the live wager there, feel free to do so. Plus, all of the Week 11 matchups, they got all the betting lines, plus the prop builder you guys can use for any of the parlays you guys want to build. In regards to the Steelers and the Ravens, you see here, they are, as a matter of fact, the underdog. The Steelers are the underdog going into this.
It won't be the first time this season they've been the underdog.
And, of course, you see the spread right there. No surprise, the spread is 3 points because these games are always within a field goal. Always. Yeah. So you guys like the spread. You guys like the money line. If you feel very confident the Steelers can pull off as the underdog for a second straight week, feel free to do so. You see the over-under of 48. So any of those odds you guys are in favor of, feel free to go to betus.com, take advantage of a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 and 125% on your next two deposits. When you use the promo code YouTube150 when signing up at betus.com today. Take care of all those great perks from our great friends over at BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. Thanks to them for sponsoring this live stream. Just please gamble responsibly. Now, where do you want to start off?
The Baltimore Ravens, I want to talk about their offense, man. It's obviously led by Lamar Jackson, and the addition of Derrick Henry has absolutely been a huge plus for their rushing game, huge plus for their offense. And
well, considering he scored on every game so far.
Every game.
Every game.
Every game. I mean, Derrick Henry has just been unstoppable.
And he's running away with that rushing title. Again, it's like...
No pun intended.
It's like he never just stopped playing like in Tennessee. It's like he never downgraded.
No.
It's like he honestly found a new lease on life or a new lease in career in Baltimore.
Yeah, big time.
Like, I hate to say it, but the fit is just perfect.
Yeah, like looking back at free agency, I don't know how any other team that desperately needed a running back just allowed this to happen. But like the
Cowboys.
Yeah, big time. But the pairing was just like right there. It's a match made in heaven. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. And like Derrick Henry was just never going to deny going to Baltimore to team up with Lamar Jackson. And you just see, within the first 10 weeks on the chemistry that they have just been building upon and just had been running amok all over NFL defenses.
It was the NFL's worst kept secret going into free agency. Everyone knew that was going to happen, and yeah, he's just he's on a new run here, man. It's just Derrick Henry is easily the biggest thing you got to watch for when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens versus the Steelers game here. Because, yeah, you look at Lamar Jackson, 2 MVPs thus far, could very well be on his way to number 3. He's having himself probably his best season thus far as a quarterback. 24 touchdowns, I believe only 2 interceptions. Second in passing yards, tied first in passing touchdowns. This is what people like to call a running back at quarterback. Well, he's not really looking like a running back now, is he?
No, and I think a big part of that, just his play and, arguably the best quarterback play of his career so far has been the second-year jump of Zay Flowers, their first-rounder last year.
Absolutely, and the Ravens, man, they lack at drafting receivers.
It was always their worst trade. They could never, they always tried to figure out, exactly who to have as their number 1 outside of free agency.
Right.
They always try to draft guys, it just never panned out for them, Rashad Bateman, he was a first rounder a couple years ago. He's having a nice, jump this year, but as the number 2, and that's all he is. He was never a number 1. That's why they went with Zay Flowers last year.
Yeah, they could never really find much success, but they did with the guy in Zay Flowers. It sucks that he fell so far.
Yeah.
Because we knew he was going to be a stud, man. He's electric. He's just a elusive guy, man. He's someone where he can cut you up deep in the route tree. He's a guy that can get the ball early and then can still kill you with his yak ability.
Yeah, at 5'9", only 175 pounds. I mean, he plays bigger than his size shows.
Absolutely.
I got to give Zay Flowers credit.
Zay Flowers is a guy to watch for, man, especially with this secondary that is still allowing a lot of gains, allowing a lot of explosive plays, and just looking like Swiss cheese out there, unfortunately. That's got to be improved from last week. I will say, I did think I might have been a little harsh on the defense last week. But one thing is for sure, they did game plan against Jaden Daniels very well. And the benefit of that is, 2 benefits actually, is because they know exactly how to game plan against guys like that because they go up against Lamar twice a year. Mm-hmm. And they got a perfect model in practice in the scout team with Justin Fields. They're going to do the exact same thing this week against Lamar Jackson. But I do want to say this. Lamar Jackson doesn't have a good record. He doesn't have a good stat career against the Steelers. But last week, I forget what week it was, but I know it was the first matchup when Kenny threw that touchdown to Pickens. Lamar looked good versus that Steelers defense. It's just his receivers failed him. And that's kind of been Lamar's thing in Baltimore the last couple of years, is that his receivers fail him. His receivers drop the ball. It costs them touchdowns, costs them points, and they step away from things that are beneficial to them, which has been one of the Ravens' biggest downfalls the past couple of years. It seems like this year that's still there. Bateman in his hands are very inconsistent. Flowers is good, but even his hands are a little inconsistent. So that's a thing to watch for, definitely. But in regards to our defense, yeah, he played good against the Steelers last year, but I would still think that the Steelers are going to match up well against Lamar.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Lamar's career record on the Steelers, I mean, I'll go over the stats right now. He's 1-3. His lone win has been from his initial MVP year back in, I think it was 2019.
Yeah.
But since then, he hasn't won against the Steelers. He's thrown 4 passing touchdowns. I don't believe he has a single rushing touchdown on the team yet.
Really?
I believe so.
That's incredible.
He's thrown 7 interceptions. He's fumbled the ball 5 times, and he's been sacked a total of 20 times against this team. So the Steelers, man, they know how to game plan against Lamar. They have his number. You could pretty much say that the Steelers are Lamar's kryptonite.
I would definitely say yes. The Steelers are Lamar's kryptonite. And I think we have the strength in numbers in the secondary to go up against a guy like Lamar. We have the defense to go up against a guy like Lamar. We have, the perfect scheme to really limit him in his rushing attack. And I think our defense can match up well against the receivers because even though the receivers have stepped up, Flowers is having a great year. I'd say Bateman is having his best year to date so far. They get a lot of their targets involved.
A lot. I mean, the names all over that offense. I mean, and that they just get everybody involved, and they know how to get them involved.
Yeah.
I got to give them props on that. Guys like Mark Andrews, of course, Isaiah Likely, Justice Hill, their backup running back. Bateman's had a nice jump. They even added Deontay Johnson.
Who?
Deontay
Johnson.
The significant player they traded for, what I'm saying?
Yeah, the significant player that Tomlin really just is not worried about because there's more significant players with more significant roles.
No.
Which he's not wrong, and no, that's not a dig at Deontay Johnson. It's as simple as this. Deontay doesn't see enough routes. He's now their 4th wide receiver.
Yeah.
And that's not including tight end targets. He's their 4th wide receiver. He's more worried about Zay Flowers. He's more worried about Derrick Henry. He's more worried about Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews, and likely if he plays. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's just simple as that.
And I'm with Tomlin in that same boat. Like, I don't really fear Deontay Johnson completely.
But I do think this defense can match up well against Lamar and the Ravens. The biggest issue first is you got to slow down Derrick Henry. Like,
That's a lot easier said than done.
A lot
I mean,
easier
like,
said than done.
King Henry has been exactly that, King.
Yeah.
Like he has, without a doubt, been a huge asset to that offense. And because of what, just how reliable and consistent Derrick Henry is, that has obviously led to Lamar having to run the ball less. He still got over 500 rushing yards on the season, but, you got to back, like, Derrick Henry. You don't have to constantly rely on your legs.
Well, it's just like the Eagles with Hurts and Barkley.
Yeah.
They had to run the ball a lot because they didn't have much success in the ground game. They had rotational pieces, but they didn't really have that bell cow. They didn't have that lean back guy. Now they brought in Henry. We know what he can do.
Yeah, and obviously that has led to Lamar playing probably his best ball, honestly.
Now, the Steelers' rushing defense, they did allow 3 rushing touchdowns last week. They did. But they also didn't really allow much of a ground game to happen versus the Commanders. Now, granted, the Commanders don't really have a run game very much like the Ravens because the Ravens have been the best rushing offense in the league for years.
Number 1 for a reason. They're the number 1 total offense in general, but, I mean, like, it goes to show, just how dominant they have been this season.
Yeah.
That offense has been. So the defense, they're going to have to be on their A game once again. They're going to have their hands full.
And it sucks that Highsmith is hurt because he's such a positive to the rushing defense that him being out is really going to hurt that. Now, Preston Smith, he couldn't come at a perfect time. He couldn't be added at a perfect time, at a better time.
Yeah.
Nick Herbert should be back this week. He couldn't be getting healthy at a perfect time. But losing Highsmith is going to hurt. I have faith in the depth, but, when I look at the front 7, I think the Steelers' defense, they're fully healthy. Patrick Queen is coming off his best game so far.
Oh, my God.
As a Steeler.
I don't think we mentioned it enough in the post-game reaction to the Commanders. But, Patrick Queen was just a stud in that game.
He was everywhere. His range, his speed was everywhere. He was all over the run game. He was eyeing holes. He was just reading the rushing offense and just making a lot of plays everywhere.
And, of course, Queen's going to have a chip on his shoulder. Like, he actually opened up when he was being interviewed, and he basically admitted that the Ravens never offered him a deal to stay in Baltimore.
Now, and he took that personally.
As he should. I mean, like, if you're Patrick Queen, dedicating 4 years of your career and playing top-tier football alongside Raquan Smith, I mean, how would you not take that personally?
Sure, but at the same time, I don't think the Ravens could afford him. And they literally drafted his replacement in Trenton Simpson the year prior.
That's true.
Which is a copy and paste of what the Steelers did with Alex Highsmith and Bud Dupree.
That's true.
Just different positions. So that's probably why the Ravens didn't give him an offer. Maybe they didn't want to give him an offer because whatever offer they would have given him, first of all, wouldn't have matched. And maybe it would have been insulting. So you could look at it both ways. But obviously Patrick Queen's going to look at it as a disrespect, as some disrespect. And he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder. He's coming off his best game. He's going to be leaning on a lot in terms of trying to limit Lamar and trying to limit Derrick Henry and really be that guy in the middle of the front 7, that green dot, as well as, just that playmaker where he's everywhere and he's going to want to make plays, especially against the team that drafted him. So Patrick Queen, I don't want to say this is a revenge game, but he's definitely going to be playing with a lot more fire under him. He's going to play a lot more angry, and that makes me excited because seeing what he did and what he can build off of, we might finally get what the Steelers paid him for.
Oh yeah, for matchups like this, like we're going to need that top tier talent to really showcase and stand out.
That's exactly why they picked up Patrick Queen. And let me tell you, he was obviously under the Ravens system for 4 years. And he knows Lamar, he knows the offense because most of their offense is still very similar to what they had last year. Same coordinator and Todd Monken. They still got Flowers, they still got all the tight ends, most of the receivers, right? Yeah. So he can really just field out that offense. And he could be in the green dot. He could really speak to the defense in terms of what to look out for and what to watch for and make some reads. And that could really help the defensive game plan here. So I think that's a huge positive.
Yeah.
Not only at him as a player, but as a smart mind, as a someone that had experience going up against them in practice. every day.
Of course.
So I think that's going to be huge. I think that's going to be crucial to the Steelers. And that's why I favor this Steelers defense because, first of all, Steelers versus Ravens are typically just very defensive. So you immediately think, well, you know, I think the last time both these teams scored more than 24 points against each other was what?
2020.
Yeah.
Way back to 2020. Since then, I mean, like, it's been nothing but very defensive, like, at most 20 points.
Yeah.
But that's literally just about it. So it's constantly defensive when it comes to these two teams. It has been since 2020.
Yeah.
So you can pretty much expect something similar. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, it's Steelers and Ravens right here. But that's where, you know, the defense of the Steelers, you know, they will have to come up big. You know, that front seven go up against the offensive line of the Ravens that are still trying to work some kinks out, some new faces, especially on the right side there. But they've only given up 13 sacks from what I've seen, which actually isn't half bad on paper.
Ooh, the Ravens O-line.
The Ravens offensive line. But the thing that they have given up a lot this year has been penalties. Like, their offensive line is actually terrible with penalties. They've given up a total of 34 penalties.
On the line?
Just on that offensive line alone. And I believe the Ravens are one of the top teams that are the most penalized, but 34 coming from the offensive line.
They are. You want to know what the overall penalties they have?
No, tell me.
This is first in the league.
Tell me.
They rank first in the league in penalties. That is 80.
And 34 of those come from the offensive
And
line.
damn near half of them come from the O-line alone, which is very young. Ronnie Stanley is that long-term veteran there at left tackle. He's still a stud, but
you know what's crazy? He leads the charge with 10 penalties.
good God.
10.
But you look at their left guard, Patrick McCarry, you know, Tyler Linderbaum, stud of a center, very young. Daniel Falili, I think he was a tackle coming out of Minnesota.
He was.
Big body. They moved him to guard.
Oh, dude, he's 6'8", 380 pounds. Like this is a mammoth right here, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So they moved him to guard. Roger Rosengarten, who was the opposite tackle to Troy Fautanu in Washington last year.
That's right.
So, and he had to be put in at right tackle immediately. So that's a lot of youth and certain guys that probably aren't even ready for that position yet. But the Ravens are running with them. And I suppose, you know, as the season's going on, they are getting better. And they're a big reason why Derrick Henry is having such a great season. But that's where we got to attack. That's where Watt has to attack, man. You know, the penalties alone is going to allow so much destruction on that defensive line. We know Hayward, we know Benton, we know Ogunjobi can get that interior pressure. We know Watt can get the pressure from anywhere. Preston Smith, Nick Herbig are very reliable depth.
Of course.
Maybe we run a lot more blitz packages to try to get to Lamar. Maybe we blitz Patrick Queen. Maybe we blitz Peyton Wilson a little bit. Maybe more of a Beanie Bishop. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
So those are ways we can attack that O-line because they're very suspect. You know, they don't give up a lot of sacks, but they give up a lot of hurries. They give up a lot of pressures, and they definitely commit a ton of penalties. That's where we got to attack. And I think that's going to be one of the X factors for the Steelers in this game, man. And we've seen it in years past, bro. That's won the Steelers games versus the Ravens, versus Lamar Jackson. Last year, that helped us close the game out in that first Steelers versus Ravens matchup.
Yep.
You know, Highsmith got the strip sack, Watt picked it up, and then we ended the game. So that's where the defense is going to have to eat again. And I definitely believe that our front seven is going to be there. They're going to be ready. They're going to be playing a lot more hungry versus the Ravens because, first of all, the rivalry aspect, and they want that first place. In the matchup, again, I really favor the matchup this week. The secondary still scares me. That was the biggest negative of the defense last week. What's the secondary? 5 secondary turnovers, or 5 secondary penalties. 3 of them coming from JPJ. 3 of them comes from JPJ.
Yeah, and he's going to really have to have a bounce-back game for sure here.
Yes.
You know, like Steelers-Ravens, you know, like what the Porters have done, you know, what Peasy did, you know, when he was a Steeler in the prime days of Steelers versus Ravens. Like this, and we all know what JPJ did last year when he came in and intercepted Lamar in the end zone.
Yes,
he left his input, he left his impact, that Porter impact on that rivalry, so he's going to have to do it again. And he's going to have a big bounce-back performance.
Well, that was definitely his worst game as a Steeler, but I think he has a better matchup this week, but I don't think he can be as worse.
I hope not.
I'd hope not either. So
Listen, I'm still big on JPJ. I still find him as a lockdown cornerback. You know, like those guys will eventually have an off game every now and then, but we can't afford JPJ to have another a second straight off game. You know what I'm saying? Because
No.
Tomlin even said it. You know, like he's not going to overreact about it. But, like if he were to do it again, then we may have to talk about it.
Absolutely. What they got to do with JPJ is they got to get him, they got to get him in man. They got to get him in man coverage a little more. They got to get him up on his receiver. They got to let him play, angry. They got to let him play with his strengths. So I think that's where he can have a bounce-back game for sure. Otherwise, our entire secondary, they just got to stop allowing these chunk plays. That's something Lamar has committed against the Steelers defense in the past. That's where he's had some of his better, highlights versus the Steelers in the past is against the secondaries. So that's where they really got to limit those plays, man. The defense overall last week I thought played well. They very much did a good job trying to limit Jaden Daniels, and they're going to have a similar matchup versus Lamar Jackson, and they got tons of history on their side there. But the secondary still has to just limit, guys like Flowers, guys like Andrews, guys like because Bateman still has his issues, but he's been that big play machine. He's been that deep threat for Lamar, and he's made plays down there. Zay Flowers, man, he's a guy they can put anywhere, and he'll make plays. Mm-hmm. They frequently like to give him the ball early on behind the line of scrimmage or early on past the line of scrimmage and let him use his yak ability. But that's where our secondary and our defense can't be missing tackles like they did last week.
No.
So, again, the secondary overall has to play a lot better. It's a must, because if we allow these guys to make plays on us down the field, then it could get ugly, especially depending on what Derrick Henry's going to do or what he's capable of doing.
Yeah, and another guy, that could for sure have a chip on his shoulder, because we talked about Queen earlier, is, of course, Deshaun Elliott.
Absolutely.
Going against a team that brought him into the NFL, he's a late-round pick, and Elliott, just really found his way in the NFL with the Ravens, in his initial start. And we all know how well Elliott has played for the Steelers since, being the Steeler and whatnot. But, especially in the run defense compartment, I mean, he's just one of the better guys on this defense that just comes down. He's a thumper. He just knows how to stop the run, and he's going to have to come up key here with Derrick Henry. And he's no stranger to bringing down Derrick Henry big time.
Oh, no. He is a guy that is willing to get in the mud and get dirty. Like,
yeah.
He is all about that. So, Elliott has been a very welcomed addition, so I think he's going to have a trivial part in trying to slow down Derrick Henry. I see you guys in the chat. The front seven doesn't concern me. Our defensive backs are trash, though. The secondary cannot allow Bateman to look like Jerry Rice's sand wave.
No, we don't need that.
No.
We can't afford that, honestly, now.
Well, I remember last year, I forget who was in coverage. I want to say was it Chandon Sullivan? Correct me if I'm wrong. There was a deep pass to Nelson Aguilar, and then he dropped it. If he would have caught that,
I do remember
the Steelers
that.
probably don't win that game.
I do remember that, yeah.
So now, granted, we don't have Sullivan anymore, but we still have Terrell Austin, and Terrell Austin, I feel like he's just been kind of basic this year. He doesn't blitz as much as I thought he would, and that's because they get so much pressure with just rushing forward.
Yeah, he doesn't exactly need to call many blitz packages because it just goes to show the dominance of the front seven and the guys there.
Sure, but I think we could definitely utilize the blitz package a little more.
I definitely agree with you, yeah.
Blitz Beanie, Blitz Elliott, Blitz Queen, I think we could very well benefit from that, especially in this game. I think there's if he wants to open up those packages a little more, definitely in this one.
Yeah.
Lamar's going to be Lamar, but if we can clean up the penalties, our defense, and somewhat control the pace and limit Lamar's opportunities, that's what I'm thinking as well, man. I'm really hoping we can try to contain Lamar. I think that's got to be key here. And the Steelers, again, they have a great history of that. Digital Dust says, must keep Lamar contained in the pocket and wrap up Henry before he finds open field. Thing is, with Henry, bro, there's no wrapping that dude up.
No, and Tomlin alluded that, Henry is just reliable at, just getting yards here and there, but, he'll have that one run where he's a home run hitter. So if Derrick Henry, just gets loose and has one of them big runs that he's known to have, I mean, Steelers are going to be in a lot of trouble.
Well, here, I'll put this out because I just searched it up. Derrick Henry in his career versus the Steelers, man. 3 games he's played versus the Steelers, all obviously in Tennessee. He has a total of 44 carries for 182 yards and has scored 2 touchdowns in 3 games against the Steelers.
Okay.
That's a 4.1 yard per carry average.
Yeah.
So not too bad.
Not too bad, no. We all remember the Spillane hit back in 2020.
The Spillane hit was great.
Yeah.
And
And that was a big matchup at that point because, I mean, Henry was obviously on another level that season, on a rampage. And Steelers defense, they held their own that time.
Yeah, but I just think this is a different Derek.
Oh, no, without it. I mean, dude, he's running away with the Offensive Player of the Year award.
Easily.
No doubt about it.
Easily.
Like, nobody comes close. Not even Barkley. It's Derrick Henry all the way. So, it's definitely a huge test for the run defense. And the run defense is, if I believe, it's top 5. So,
yeah,
they've definitely showcased the ability of stopping the run for sure. But, I mean, this is Derrick Henry we're talking about here.
Digital dust in the chest. The secondary needs to cover long enough for the D-line to get to Lamar. I'm hoping, man. I'm really hoping they stay with their guy. I mean, they don't have a lot of guys that can create separation easily. Bateman's not the best separator. Zay Flowers can definitely separate. We know Deontay can separate, but how many snaps is Deontay going to get? But even here's the thing with the Ravens, though, dude. Like, they know, like, that's one of their weaknesses. But that's why they run a lot of 12 personnel. That's why they run a lot of 20 and 22 personnel, because it allows them to use 2 tight end packages.
Three tight end
packages or 2 running back packages where they have Henry and Justice Hill on the field at the same time. They allow these guys to get the ball early and then let them use their yak ability to get up the field.
Yeah, and they've done it for years because, it's just a way to have Lamar feel confident and comfortable with that playbook and just his way to get guys involved.
Yeah.
And he gets everybody involved.
That's just how they exercise all their targets on the field.
Yeah. That's how they stretch the field. That's how they get the yards, they get the points. That's why when Lamar's in there and healthy and on a different level, that's why they're one of the best.
Right. So the Steelers are definitely going to have a tough matchup, but I mean, this is Steelers-Ravens, so I do want to say throw everything out the door because I don't want to say throw everything out the door, but when it comes to these games, you just kind of just know what you're going to get. But at the same time, could this be one of those? Could it be very much like the Commanders and the Steelers last week, where there are some defensive plays here and there? There are some mishaps from both teams, 2 very good, legit teams. But then we see some offensive spark from both teams, like a really good game, like a great football game. Could we get another situation like that, or is this going to be Steelers versus Ravens, very defensive, low scoring, very gritty? Which offense makes a hiccup first?
It's really one of those games that could go either way. It could really end up being one of them heavy defensive, down to the wire games that, that you got to get your kickers out there in order to get the game-winning field goal and whatnot, or it could just be one of them offensive shootouts.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since we've seen one of those, so I guess you could say that we are possibly due for such a shootout for Steelers and Ravens, potentially.
Potentially.
Considering how the Steelers' offense has looked with Russell Wilson in there. This is probably a good transition right here. The passing offense has been a huge asset of the offensive success with Russ in there. I mean, like, they just strike and they just click when Russ is in there.
This is the best passing attack we've had since obviously Ben. But if I had to label by year, this is the best passing attack since probably 2020 Ben. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Since probably 2020 Ben. That's how good Russell Wilson's playing right now. That's how good of an addition he's been. And that goes to show you Russell Wilson still has a lot to offer. Like, he threw 3 touchdowns last week. He didn't have his best game as a Steeler. I'd say he had his worst game as a Steeler, but was it really a bad game? No. He still threw 3 touchdowns. He still was clutch in the end and threw that dime to Mike Williams.
The beautiful play. I mean, 32 yards, Mike Williams, and just Mike Williams coming in, like on the fly, apparently, according to himself and several others. Like, he was just doing it on the fly. Like, it just so happened that the ball was in the air and he was just able to track it, just get his arms out there, and he was able to hold on for dear life.
It's weird because, like, Russ went for those moon balls a lot. He went to that well probably too many times. And the only 2 dudes that were able to make catches like that away from the defensive back were Pickens for the touchdown and Williams for the game winner.
Yeah.
Like, you look at both those throws, man. Both of those throws are away from the defensive back where they cannot make a play on the ball. It all relies on the receiver to adjust and track and make the catch.
Yeah.
And those are the only 2 guys that could haul in those moon balls. So more of those 2 in this game, please.
I think that's a level of confidence that Russ obviously has in his targets.
Yeah.
Even for a guy like Mike Williams, that is just a new guy in town that just came in. And he's like, you know what? Like, I know the level of talent that you possess and that you have showcased in your previous earlier years in the NFL. Like, I want to see it. Like, I'm confident in that.
Nathan says Mike Williams will have a good game on Sunday. I'm hoping so.
Yeah, because, I mean, looking at this Ravens defense right here, like, they got a lot of names, from that front 7. I want to go there real quick.
You know, here's the thing. Here's the funny thing, man. The Ravens and the Steelers defense are kind of one and the same. They are phenomenal in the front seven. They are very strong in the front seven. They can stop the run. They can get to the quarterback. You know, they are just physically dominant there in the front seven.
Yeah.
The secondary, they got names, but they're sus. And for the Ravens case, they are the worst passing defense in the entire league. 32nd. They are allowing 295 yards passing a game. And this is with Russell Wilson coming in with 3 straight wins under his belt, coming off a 3-touchdown performance.
Yeah.
Russ is about to be licking his chops.
As he should.
He could be cooking again. His connection with George Pickens is getting better by the week. Every single game that Pickens has had Russ at quarterback, he has had a big gain. He's had 2 straight games with touchdowns. I mean, Pickens is just dominating the secondaries with Russ at quarterback. You know, other guys are getting opportunities. Van Jefferson's getting opportunities. How much more of that will he get with Mike Williams? Hopefully less. Calvin Austin getting opportunities. Mike Williams, get this guy the opportunity.
Yeah.
After that, dude, just give him the reps. There's none of this. Let's get him accustomed to the playbook. Let's let him learn the playbook. Get him involved.
No, after a play like what he was able to do against Commanders on Sunday, like you give that man all the opportunities in the world, right? There's a reason why you traded for him, because the Steelers desperately needed an addition at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
They had to settle for Mike Williams because everybody else that they tried just didn't happen. They traded a 5th, and that 5th has already paid off with that 32-yard touchdown.
Already.
Now you got to give Mike Williams even more reps and even more opportunities, and just see if he can run away with it and see, hey, if this really can pay off for sure. You know, this guy can be a huge asset for Russell Wilson.
I think this is a game they give him the opportunity, and he can show himself, because the Ravens secondary sucks. Their secondary sucks. Okay, they have Kyle Hamilton, who is a stud. I would argue he is one of the best safeties in the league. This guy can do everything.
Everything. The guy's just so versatile. You could put him in the box. You could put him in the slot. You could put him deep. Like, Kyle Hamilton will make plays anywhere on that football field.
Dude, every time I watch a Ravens game, he always makes a play. Like, the Ravens could be playing at any time. They could be playing prime time. They could be playing in the afternoon. Every time I turn on the Ravens game, he's always making a play.
Yeah, and like they got a lot of great talent on that defense. Matabuke, you know, they got Travis Jones, Adolfo Way, Raquan Smith, you know, guys like that, some standout names on that defense. But you could probably argue that Hamilton is their best defensive player.
I would argue. I would literally argue right now that he is one of the best safeties in the entire league. I know he left the Bengals game with an injury. He was limited today in practice, so that's a positive sign for him to play in this game. So we'll see what his participation is tomorrow, what his game status is. But if they are without him, you do not want to rely on the depth of an aging Eddie Jackson, Marcus Williams, who they signed in free agency, and Ardarius Washington.
No, it doesn't help that their cornerbacks aren't helping either.
No.
Like, Marlon Humphrey's doing his job, and they have him going in and out outside and in the nickel because Arthur Millette is just not a good slot guy, and we know from experience a lot. So, I mean, Humphrey's just versatile. He's going to make plays. He's going to do his thing. But the guys that they have primarily outside, rookie Nate Wiggins, who, you know, has a lot of talent and potential, sure. But the other guy, opposite of him, is Brandon Stevens, and he is probably the worst starting cornerback in the NFL right now.
Yeah, he's not good. The fact that they had to trade for Tre'Davious White from the Rams, and he's not even starting yet.
No, and I don't think that's going to be much of an upgrade.
Brandon Stevens has allowed 40 receptions this year. That is 6 allowed.
He's not good. And I'm telling you right now, whether Mike Williams or George Pickens is lined up across from him, they're one-on-one. You are doing it every single time. You're not even going to hesitate. Russell Wilson's going to target that area right away.
So, and here's the thing, though. Here's the weird thing about the Ravens' defense. They are dead last in passing defense, but they are first in rushing defense.
Yeah, and I want to get to that discussion because I feel with the secondary being their biggest weak link, that because we know that the Steelers' rushing attack is their go-to. It's something that they always rely on and that they're very good at, right? They're just very good at producing rushing yards with the guys that they have.
Yeah.
But I feel for this game, and it's weird saying that because it's Steelers-Ravens, but I feel in this game that they could step away from rushing the football a little bit. Not completely, though. You still want to try to establish a rushing game and try to get something going on the ground. But I feel like you can kind of step away from it and attack their weak link, especially the way that Russ and the targets have been playing.
Well, I also think the reason why they are first in rushing defense, not to take anything away from them, is because, well, their secondary is so poor that why would anyone try to get a running game going when they know they can just expose that secondary? Jamar Chase alone had 264 yards, 3 touchdowns last week. I'm not saying Pickens is going to have that, but I think Pickens is definitely going to be over in yardage, whatever his over-under is this week.
It won't be the first time he's had over 100 yards against the Ravens.
No, it wouldn't.
He did it with Kenny Pickett, for God's sake.
For God's sake. And now we got a quarterback that is literally giving us a threatening passing attack, giving us some confidence there. Someone that can literally stretch the field in any way possible. Feed the targets. Make the plays down the field. You know? Like, I love the matchup between the Steelers passing offense versus the Ravens secondary.
Big time.
I love the matchup for Pickens. I think Pickens is going to have another stellar game. I'm hoping Mike Williams gets more targets. I hope we get our tight ends more involved. You know, the Ravens, man, what I notice about the Ravens is they use a lot of their tight ends on offense. They use Andrews. They're getting him involved a lot more recently. Isaiah Williams had a great start to the season. They even used their third tight end, right? The Steelers use their tight ends a lot. I'm thinking, well, let's beat them at their own game. Let's get our tight ends involved. Let's get Muth. Let's get Washington more targets. Let's kind of beat them at their own game. Let's kind of reverse the script on them.
Yeah.
I think the Steelers got to play those two the same way the Ravens play their two. I think the Steelers got to feed Muth and Frymuth more. Muth and Washington more.
Yeah, I get you.
So I think that's a game where we can really open those two guys up and let them just kind of eat in that secondary.
Yeah, and another thing that the offense is really going to have to do for this game, especially going up against the Ravens here, is protecting the football.
Yes.
They gave up the ball twice. Warren fumbled and Russ threw an interception. Now, both of them didn't really lead to anything, negative. It didn't really have a factor in the game, but it's still the fact of the matter that they did cough up the ball 2 times.
They did.
So it's something that they're going to have to try to clean up there, and I don't want to see that be a consistent thing going up against the Ravens here. They're really going to have to just protect that ball, just make sure that they don't give Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry at that any chance at potentially taking advantage of that.
Absolutely. So, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
just be careful.
Protecting the ball. I mean, it's one thing the Steelers' offense has been great at all season is protecting the football. They did cough it up twice. One of it was an interception from Russ, which was essentially just a punt, I guess. And then the one was a fumble by Warren at the 1-yard line, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So those are things that, you can look at it a certain way, but those are also things that they can't replicate. They can't be repeating those mistakes in this game because then the defense is going to be put in a bad situation, very much like what happened last week when they had a fake punt attempt and the defense was back on the field and they surrendered the first 7 points for Washington. It's just one of those things where you got to be careful with the football, absolutely.
Yeah. And
this is a Ravens defense that can force turnovers. They are known for playing tough, playing hard, for committing turnovers. This is I think a Ravens pass rush that's top 5 in the league in sacks with 31.
Yeah.
Led by
Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah,
he's like 33 years old. He's one of the ageless wonders, but Van Noy, he's still a capable pass rusher.
And that's where this O-line, man, the O-line's going to have to step up and let Russ have time as well, man. So I don't want to sleep on their pass rushers. They don't have the greatest name value. They don't.
Definitely not the. I don't want to take anything away from their current defensive coordinator, Zach Orr, right, former player for them. But he's obviously not at the level of a Mike McDonald.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I would say that losing him has definitely been probably their biggest loss so far.
I would argue, yes.
That impact, just what he brought to the defense, because their defense last year was 6 overall, and their passing defense was 6 overall as well. Now the defense is ranked 27th, and their secondary is 32nd ranked. So that's definitely a big blow there.
Yeah, and they lost Geno Stone, and they added Marcus Williams, and they added the Wiggins from the draft.
Right.
So yeah, that's not good in that look, in that factor. But as for their front seven, that's where their strengths lie. Madubuike is great. Travis Jones is strong. Calvin Ory leads the team with 7 sacks. Adafio Way is having his best year, I would argue.
And just a speedster at that. We know that.
They love to blitz Kyle Hamilton. They love to blitz a lot of their corners, actually. So that's one of those things we got to watch out for. They love to blitz Trenton Simpson, who I think is having a solid first year as a starter.
Yeah, so the offensive line is really going to have to prepare for this. They're really going to have to prepare for any blitz packages and any guys that they may be looking forward to blitz.
But the guys, the guys up front are going to have to be maulers again. The Steelers pulled Mason McCormick a lot last week, which I love. I guess that's just a 66 thing.
Yeah.
I could very well get used to that.
But, you see, McCormick, it just fits him, and he just knows how to do it.
Yeah, he's a stud there. He's a natural. So
and
I think
he's been holding his own over at right guard, too.
So I think any way we can get these guys up into the second level to get a ground game going with Najee and Warren, who both had very good games last week, I think that's a good recipe there just to keep the defense guessing, just to keep the offense as balanced as we can. And I think it would still just open up the passing game. And as well as the Ravens obviously know they don't have a good passing game, so they're going to study heavy. They're going to study heavy on trying to limit as much of a passing game as they can, which I don't think is going to be much. But that could open things up for the rushing game alone.
It might.
The Steelers, man, they have a threatening passing game, and against the worst passing defense in the league, that alone could just open up some things for the rushing attack for Najee and for Warren. So I think we could still very much try to get something going in the ground there. I would entertain the idea of running a lot more I-form, of running 13 personnel to just try to get guys in the second level and get these guys bursting up for some games. Because, once they get to the second level, those guys, man, they just turn on the burners. So I'm thinking that's a way we can just keep the offense balanced and have a good steady game, and just to try to prevent it from being one-dimensional. And honestly, even if it unfortunately would become one-dimensional, again, the matchup is still very favorable for the Steelers.
Yeah, again, I said it earlier, I feel like this is a game that the Steelers can afford to step away from the rushing attack, but just like you stated, if the Ravens are, really looking to game plan on Russ in the passing attack, and it opens up a way for our rushing attack to really do their thing, and Najee to continue his streak of good performances, then I'm all for it. I think that's a positive and a good recipe for the Steelers offense.
But when we look at this entire game, I think it really is going to be relied on. I think it really starts with the Steelers defense, because if you look at the Ravens' last 8 games, they're 7-1, and they've scored 30 or more points 6 times in the last 8 games.
Yes, they have.
And in 3 of them, they have each scored 41 points exactly.
They're the number 1 total offense, and I believe number 1 scoring offense at that, with almost 32 points
per
game.
This is Steelers versus Ravens, so you could look at that and just think they're not really going to score 30 on us. This is going to be defensive, whatever, right? But I do want to look at that and think, if they unfortunately do allow the secondary or if the Ravens carve up the Steelers secondary and the secondary starts allowing more chunk plays to Flowers or whoever, and if we can't slow down Henry, then the offense will have no choice but to abandon the run game and have to play catch up.
And it's something that they are no stranger to doing in the second half. Just last week they did it. They were down 24-14, and the offense that second half was just clicking, and they were able to get points on the board.
And the Ravens, man, they're not a good second half team. Now, last week they were. Versus the Bengals,
last week they were, yeah.
But the past couple seasons, the Ravens have kind of blown it in the second half.
Yeah.
You got to look at it that way. They have blown leads. They have allowed more points in the second half. They kind of just fall back a little bit.
Right.
So perhaps in a situation like that, and the Steelers are typically a second half team, as we've seen for the past however many years, but especially this season, that could be in our benefit.
It might be.
So I want to look at that at the game, because that could be one of those situations where, the Steelers might be down. They're one thing about the Steelers team, they're never out of it.
No, they're very resilient. And you've seen over the past how many years? I want to say 2-3 years. You never really saw that from the Steelers team.
No.
From the offense, because the quarterbacks that they had and the playbook and the coordinator that we had is just they were not bound to come back from big deficits.
No.
They couldn't.
No.
They never even tried. They pretty much just seen the score and they were like, okay, we can't. We tried enough. So we're just trying to get through this game the best we can. You know what I'm saying?
Not with Russ at quarterback.
Not with Russ at quarterback. Not with Arthur Smith as the OC. Not with the guys that we have on offense here. Like these guys are competitors. These guys showcase how much they want it.
I'll tell you right now, man. If if the Steelers played the Commanders like that last year's team does not win that game.
I mean, dude, like, remember the Colts game last year with Gardner Minshew at quarterback? They lost to that. They lost to nothing but backups. They couldn't even come back from that.
They were up in that game too.
Yeah. They completely collapsed in that game. They didn't even try to do a come from behind victory. Or
No.
No. They were just incapable of doing it last year. This year, they are so resilient.
They're very resilient. They're tough. They're never out of it. They never let anything put them down.
No.
They had 2 offensive turnovers in the. I think in the second. It was definitely in the second half. Maybe both in the fourth quarter. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they never let that put them down. They never let that put them out the game. And props to the defense for minimizing as many points as they did in the second half.
Yeah.
But that's what allowed the offense to come back and win the game. That shows you the grit that this team has. Last year's team, the year prior to that, does not win that game.
No.
This year, this team is different. So
you get that sense. I mean, it's just easy to tell, easy to see.
Well, all season, the second half has just been fired up. You know, with Russ, with Fields, you know, they just wake up in the second half, which is a good thing. And this could be another situation where against the Ravens, and historically, especially the last couple of years, the Ravens in the second half, they just fall flat.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's one of those situations where the Steelers, you know, they might have to come back again, or this could be one of those games where the game is super close throughout the whole 60 minutes, that it could just be one of those situations where it's such a back and forth sort of deal. Regardless, this is going to be an incredible game. This is going to be one of those barn burners. This is going to be one of those must-watch Ravens versus Steelers matchups. One of those games you can't miss. It doesn't matter who's playing. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback. Throw stats, throw players out the window. Steelers versus Ravens, always a must-watch.
And I think that just speaks on just how AFC North football overall is.
And I'd say, man, you know, there have been some really good Steelers versus Ravens matchups the past couple of years with both of their respective teams, what they've had to offer. But this is probably one of the more exciting Steelers versus Ravens matchups that I can remember in recent years.
And honestly, I have to agree.
Both teams are at their best, I would say.
This is the battle for first place in AFC North. A lot is at stake, you know, still early on in the season and whatnot.
It's only week 11.
Yeah.
But this is the most excited I've been for a Steelers versus Ravens battle in a while. I think it was last year. Wasn't it last year at one point there was a Steelers versus Ravens game and I wasn't excited?
I think it was before the first matchup because the Steelers weren't really looking that good. I think it was the game before their bye week. You know, I believe their season start wasn't exactly all that positive because of how many blowouts we sustained.
Was it the first matchup or the second matchup?
First matchup.
You sure?
The second matchup was the last one when Rudolph was in.
You're right.
So it was the first matchup.
You're right, yeah, because the first matchup last year was after the blowout loss to the Texans. Yeah. You're right. So the first matchup last year in week 5, I believe, that was the first Steelers Ravens game I went into and I wasn't excited for it, and the Steelers still came out with a victory. Go figure.
Yeah, right.
That's what the Steelers do to you. But this year, man, like this is the most excited I've been for a Steelers versus Ravens game in quite some time, because I feel like both teams are at the top of their game right now. They both have a lot to offer in their conference, and this is literally the battle for first place of the AFC North, where literally in the second half of this season, every single game counts, because first place could flip-flop at any point throughout as the weeks progress.
Yeah.
Like, this game is very important already. Very crucial.
Yep.
Especially with the Steelers, since this is their first AFC North matchup of the season.
Yeah.
Very crucial.
And I'm surprised, you know, that the NFL did not flex this to Sunday Night Football. Because I believe the initial Sunday Night Football was the Colts game, which they flexed for the Bengals and Chargers game, which should be a good game, don't get me wrong, but you know, this is Steelers and Ravens right here.
I'd much rather stay up for Steelers versus Ravens than Bengals and Chargers. Let me tell you right now.
Yeah.
Let me tell you right now.
Yeah, but I think, you know, no matter if it's a primetime game, 1 o'clock game, you know, on a Wednesday, whatever.
I don't mind a 1 o'clock Ravens. I feel like that energy's different. Like prime times are obviously crazy, but that 1 o'clock energy is just different, especially since you know this is going to be down to the wire.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be no blowouts. There's going to be no one-sided affairs. This is going to be legitimately down to the wire, gritty, might even go into overtime. It's definitely going to be within 3. I would definitely bet on the spread for sure. But it's just one of those things where the energy for the 1 o'clock games, especially at Heinz Field, is going to be intense. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be one of those games where it's going to be crazy. Like it's going to be probably one of those roller coaster games. It's going to be a dogfight between two rivals literally fighting for first place.
Yep.
Knowing that this game already is so important into the season.
Yeah.
This is going to be a great game. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, and the Steelers, man, they got a lot of momentum on their side. They have won 4 straight. They're first place in the AFC North. And against the Ravens, they have won the past 3 matchups between them.
Yeah.
So a lot of momentum on the Steelers side. But they're going to have to carry that momentum in the Heinz Field, home field advantage. And they got to go and figure out a way to get this victory. They got to go in and get this dub.
Who wants this game more? The Ravens or the Steelers?
And I know that the Ravens are going to want this win badly. I know it.
But how badly are Tomlin and the Steelers and Russ are going to want it? They've won 4 straight. And you look at the AFC North standings. The Steelers and Ravens are hilariously running away with it. The Bengals can't even catch up. The Browns, forget about it.
No, the Browns are out of it. The Bengals maybe are catching. That's a maybe.
There's a slight chance. But these 2 teams are running away with it. So now that you know that, hey, it's just you and me.
Yeah.
It's just you. Everyone's out of the picture. Everyone's out of the ring. It's just you and me. Like, it's going to be one of those where who wants it badly. And it truly might come down to which offense makes the first mistake.
It might. It could be one of them games.
And the Steelers, man, you know, you look at the way they force turnovers. They didn't force a turnover last week. But
outside of special teams, but that was a muff.
But, you know, against Lamar, you know, they just have that tendency.
Yeah.
Versus the Ravens, it's just the nature of the game. Mm-hmm. They have that tendency.
Yep.
It could be from Watt. Minka could have his first pick. Maybe JPJ replicates what happened last year. I don't know. Maybe Patrick Queen has a pick, man. I think that'd be amazing. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait for this game. I know you guys are excited as much as we are. We'll be live for it, as you guys know. Steelers versus Ravens. You gotta obviously attack that secondary. You got to eat. You got to feed Pickens. Feed Mike. Feed the tight ends. Maybe get a ground game going. I think we really can get a ground game going in this game. I think we can. If not, then we know we can shred that secondary because the secondary is very sus.
Big time.
And I feel like we have a passing attack where I can legitimately confidently say that for the first time in a while. This is different for me. But with Russ, I just know we can strike there. I know we have a legitimate threatening passing attack. It feels good to say that. It feels good to be confident in that.
Big time.
And for the defense, bro, you gotta contain Lamar. You gotta contain Henry. You gotta pressure Lamar. You do. You gotta cave him in. And in a sense, you gotta make him play quarterback. And to give Lamar his flowers, he's probably the favorite for MVP thus far. He's my favorite for MVP. As a Steelers fan, listen, Lamar is fun to watch. I hate he's a Raven because he's such an enjoyable football player. He's such a humble dude. He's such a great person.
There's many times that when I'm watching Lamar and I'm just thinking, like, how the hell is he doing this? You know
That's what I'm saying. But there's also times where when he is asked to be a quarterback, sometimes he's not.
Yeah.
The inconsistencies are there, especially when it comes to his accuracy. His accuracy is inconsistent. He can throw a breadbasket, dime, any day of the week. But at the same time, he could overthrow his receivers when they're wide open.
Yeah, and that's what the Steelers are going to have to do to Lamar in this one. They're going to have to cause Lamar to feel nervous, feel uncomfortable, feel unconfident at that, which is, a lot easier said than done. But if there's one team to do it, it is the Steelers. It seems the Steelers have the answer sheet to taking down Lamar.
Yeah.
They got to make him cause Lamar to have those inconsistencies.
Absolutely. But this is a battle for the first place at AFC North, and I'm going to title this the Battle of the Front Sevens. Russell Wilson versus Lamar Jackson. Who would have thought? A year ago, who would have thought for a Steelers versus Ravens matchup? That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's exciting in itself.
It's one of the matchups that you don't really see often. Russell Wilson versus Lamar Jackson. You didn't really see that often earlier on, you know what I'm saying?
No, but, you look at Steelers versus Ravens history, it's you think of the defenses first, but then you think of, Ben versus Flacco and all that, right? The quarterback matchups haven't really been this, I suppose, name valued or highly regarded in a while.
Or really highly must see.
Because we've had Lamar versus Mitch. We've had Lamar versus Kenny.
Or
We've
even
had Huntley versus
yeah,
Mitch.
Huntley stepped in a couple times when either Lamar was a healthy scratch because of postseason or he was hurt.
That's why this game is exciting, man, for a lot of factors.
Yeah.
There's so much going into this game that this is going to be. It might be the most watched 1 o'clock game of the entire lineup.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, did you see how much the game's gonna be televised at? Like how many states?
Oh, how spread out it is?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, it's taking over the majority of the United States.
As it should.
Almost everybody's going to be seeing this game.
It almost makes you wonder, why didn't they flex this to prime time? But I do enjoy the 1 o'clock games. I do enjoy the 1 o'clock Steelers versus Ravens games. It's just a different energy when it's early in the day and you're not exactly as what's the word I'm looking for? You're not as fatigued from all the other football activities. It's like the energy level is so much higher. So this game's going to be nothing but crazy energy. All I know is I'm going into this game feeling intense. I'm feeling very hype. And I'm going in feeling ready for a fucking win. I want to win here, man. I want to beat the Ravens. They've had how many wins the past couple years versus the Ravens? In fact, the Steelers had the majority of the wins versus the Ravens. So if you want to talk historically, the Steelers are very much in favor versus the Ravens.
Yeah.
They swept the Ravens last year. They swept the Ravens, 3 times since 2019?
I believe so.
I think the last time the Ravens swept us was 2019. And since then, we've swept them, I think, 3 times.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So the wins are very much in the Steelers' favor. It hasn't really been that even matched up for the Steelers versus Ravens. That could change this Sunday. That could change this year. But recently, the Steelers have been very much in favor of the victory. So they are the underdog for this game, but I'm very much in hope that Steelers can walk out 8-2. Who would have thought?
And sitting very comfortably still, number 1, top of the AFC North.
8-2 with a 2-win lead heading into the next AFC North matchup and maybe getting a win there.
A 5-game winning streak, to go into a short week against Cleveland next Thursday night.
Against Cleveland. Yeah. And if we beat Cleveland, that could not only be 6 straight, but that's more wins racked up for the AFC North.
Right. Which
is why this game is just it's very important already.
It's super important, man, and we all know this is going to be a fight. There's going to be a fight, a barn burner, one hell of a match. It's just AFC North football right here.
It is. I'm going to put it...
And this is the start. This is the start for the Steelers. They got 4 straight, 6 to go for the second half. And this is the start right here. What better team to start off than the Ravens, right?
Absolutely.
The NFL knew exactly what they were doing.
Yes. Mostly Hard Knocks, which is coming, I think, in December. I will be watching because I have... Is it on Max? I have Max, I believe.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, it's on Max.
Okay. So, yeah, I'll definitely be watching around December time. But that's exactly why the NFL did it. That's exactly why the NFL did it. So, I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah.
So, but there's a poll in the chat for you guys. A new poll in the chat. Who wins, Steelers or Ravens? Get you guys' polls in the chat. Feel free to do so while we look at some of the chat here. AFC North has been put on notice. Steelers entering divisional play. And listen, Tomlin knows how important this stretch is. The Steelers know how important this stretch is. This is a different Steelers team this season. I just get that feeling. Last week versus the Commanders, I know for a fact previous Steelers teams in previous years wouldn't have won that game.
Nope.
They wouldn't have came back from that 10-point deficit. They would have fallen on their face. They would have given up. They wouldn't have even tried because they didn't have a quarterback like Russ. They didn't have an offense that has a passing attack. I think it really has a lot to do with Russ, our quarterback. Like, we have a leader. We have someone that can open things up now. We have a team that is so rallied around everybody. Everyone supports each other.
Yeah.
It's amazing. They're so tough and resilient.
And it's wild, too, because I don't know how long Russell Wilson's going to be here, right? But, this is his first bit of AFC North action.
You're right.
It's kind of wild, just thinking about that. Just a little bit.
It is. But it's just, yeah, same way. If you're right, this team is just hungry this year. I get a good feeling about this team this year. I don't know. I get a sense like we can literally make a deep playoff run. I don't want to say Super Bowl, not yet, because let's win a fucking playoff game first.
Yeah.
But I get a sense. I get a sense we can actually make a push, a deep playoff push. I get a sense this team, as long as it stays healthy and it stays as hot as it is, and they do very well in the second half stretch, this team can win a playoff game and maybe farther.
Maybe farther, because when I look at the conference, the AFC North conference right now, because the Chiefs are obviously number one, right? Nobody's going to dethrone them from that. But what team is really going to be up to par of the Chiefs to potentially dethrone them, to take them to the limit? When you look at other AFC teams, like, who else do you think? Do you think Baltimore? Do you really think Baltimore could take them to the limit, could really dethrone them? They had their shot last year.
They had their shot last year, and that was probably the worst the worst the Chiefs have looked under Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, they still pulled off the victory, went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Do you look at the Bills? Absolutely not. Josh Allen just can't cut it. And they're playing this Sunday, too. And Josh Allen just can't cut it. Not against Kansas City.
No.
I don't know what it is.
No.
The Bengals, I mean, they showcased that one time when they went to the Super Bowl, but they haven't really, replicated any of that, in quite a bit. And the Bengals, again, they're playing catch-up, you know what I'm saying? And any other AFC team that I may be thinking about, or not thinking about, like, I don't even know, but, like, the Steelers can be that team. In order to make it to the Super Bowl for the AFC, you got to get past the Chiefs. The Steelers, without a doubt, have the potential to be that team. They can.
You really think so?
I mean, just seeing,
You really think so?
Just seeing what they have showcased on the field, right? They're not perfect, but, they're playing very good football still. Russell Wilson, just the competitive nature that he has just brought to the offense, to the locker room and whatnot, just... And that is just spreading throughout the entire team overall, not just the offense, but the entire team. Everybody is feeding off of that. And it's showcasing on the field that they're playing very good football.
It's a different energy in the locker room, man. Like I get a great sense of like there's a I don't want to say culture, but there's life from everybody.
Yeah.
There's so much ambition and aspiration from everybody that that they're all hungry this year. They all it's like they're all playing with a chip on their shoulder. They all got something to prove. It's like they haven't felt this type of vibe. They haven't had this leader in Russ in years now. So
that's the type of mentality that they should bring, that they have brought, and they need to continue to bring, because they should have that feeling, that mentality of, hey, we can take down the Chiefs.
Right.
Hey, we can make it all the way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they need to continue to prove themselves. That's what I want to see.
Absolutely. Patrick Shelton says, to think about this, we get Steelers football in 7 days, 9-2. There's a chance. Yeah, there's a chance in 1 week from now the Steelers could be 9-2.
That'd be fantastic.
That'd be incredible.
That would be fucking fantastic.
How many games do we need to win to clinch a playoff spot? I'm not sure. I haven't even looked into that.
Here, right now, I will check the standings for the conference.
How early can you clinch?
I don't know how early, but conference-wise for the AFC, I mean, the Chiefs are number 1. The Bills are number 2. The Steelers and Ravens are tied with 3.
Yeah, I agree, guys. We just got to stay healthy. That's the problem. We just got to stay healthy.
Yeah, they do.
That's the biggest issue. And I think that's why this team is as good as it is this year, because this team hasn't been this healthy in a while. We've lost 2 guys on the line, but I think that's really much it. We thankfully, caught a break with Alex Highsmith.
Yeah, only 2 to 3 weeks. Thank goodness. I mean, looking at the replay and seeing, how it looked, I thought it was season over.
Me too.
It looked awful.
Oh, God.
Just a nasty-looking injury, but, thank goodness it's only 2 to 3 weeks, according to Highsmith's father. So,
yes.
Thank goodness it's not severe. It still sucks not having Highsmith a part of the defense, because he was just one of those silent killers on the defense, right? He doesn't really collect a lot of stats, but, just his impact on what he brings, just with his pass rush abilities and him constantly pressuring the quarterback, is just... Yeah. Highsmith is just a very underrated talent throughout the entire NFL, and losing him is going to suck, but thank goodness it's only for short term.
Agreed. No, it's just overall, yeah, we're healthy, and I feel like we can win any game. I feel like this team can win any game if they have to. It's a different breath of fresh air than what we had the past couple years, where the team would just lay down and die.
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're gonna get up and they're gonna fight back, and then they're gonna win like they did last week.
Yep.
And they almost did it versus the Colts with Fields at quarterback.
That's true. Earlier on in the season.
So I want to point that out as well, man. So now, it is still early into the season. We still got however many games left. We still got all the AFC North matchups. But, I think history shows against AFC North, the Steelers are very much in favor. And, we'll see what happens this Sunday. But against the Ravens, it's gonna be physical for sure. It's gonna be a great one. I'm excited for it. We can beat anybody, but yes, health is key down the stretch. It always is. And I think that's why the Steelers made the trade for Williams and Smith, because they out of everyone else, knows how important health is down the stretch.
Oh, yeah.
We have lost guys down the stretch. It has hurt us in many positions, and we have depth at almost every position to rely on. And now Corey Trice just returned to practice.
He was a full participant today.
We're about to get Corey Trice back soon.
Hell yeah, brother.
That's huge.
Hell yeah.
It is huge. It's like every position is now stacked. That means less James Pierre, more Cameron Sutton, more Corey Trice. Special teams is stacked. We got the running game. We got 2 very good quarterbacks. Most of our line hopefully remains healthy for the rest of the year. Our receivers with Russ can step up. Like, I get a good feeling, man. I really do. And I haven't had this feeling about a Steelers team. I couldn't tell you how long.
Probably since 2017.
Because I'd say ever since the ending of 2020, I've had the same feeling about the Steelers every single year. And this year, I'm starting to feel different. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's coaching. Maybe it's Russ. Maybe it's a combination of a lot of things. But whatever it is, man, let's ride. Let's keep riding.
Let's keep it going. The Steelers just cannot let up.
Yeah.
They can't let up. They can't let all this momentum get to their head.
No.
They got to stay focused, take it one game at a time.
Absolutely.
And just continue to build upon exactly what they're doing week by week.
We got to stay humble, and we got to go in one game at a time. 1 week at a time, one game at a time. That's how we got to do it. It's how the Steelers should approach it. But anyway, guys, it is there's a poll in the chat for you guys. Who wins? Who do you guys think wins? 88% of you guys think that the Steelers win.
Hell yeah.
I'd hope so, man. It's
Hell
crazy
yeah.
because the Steelers are indeed the underdog, man. So shout out to BetUS Sportsbook and Casino for sponsoring today's live stream. As you see, yes, the Steelers are indeed the underdogs. The point total is 48. 3-point spread as expected. So any of those betting lines you guys want to take, feel free to do so at betus.com. Obviously, they got all the Week 11 betting lines. They got all the money lines and everything here, but they also got the new prop builder they just added, which allows you to take the over-under, player doubles, touchdowns, first touchdowns, passing, rushing, receiving, any odds you guys want to take. So in regards to the Steelers and Ravens, we're going to look at receiving yards for the Steelers and Ravens game, right? George Pickens, his over-under is 70. Taking the over. I don't know about you. I'm taking the over.
Take the over, man.
Zay Flowers is one of those guys that is just so he'll go for 130 and the next game he'll get 11. So I don't know.
For this game, because I'm not gonna lie, I have him in fantasy. I hope to God he only gets like 11. I really do. I really do.
What's Derrick Henry at? What's Derrick Henry's over under? Let's see here. Let's find it. Derrick Henry's over under is 83.5.
Yeah, it's not hard to see why. It's not.
It's not either. Lamar's 42.5.
Rushing?
Rushing.
I mean, he's getting that average, I would say.
Najee's only 50.
Going up against the number 1 rush defense, I mean,
it's tough.
It's not surprising.
Well, let's take a look at the passing yards, because I'm very curious to see that. What's the passing yards here? We got Russell Wilson over 229.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
I'm going to take that. And let's go touchdowns, because why not, right? Because that's always fun and very stressful. Let's go here. So who do you think scores a touchdown in this game, Rob? And I will put it on you. Who do you think scores a
You're
touchdown?
going to put it on me. Okay. Well, I mean, considering the fact, because here's another stat I forgot to throw out there. The Ravens secondary has given up 22 touchdowns.
Oh, wow.
22 over the span of 10 weeks. I mean, it's not exactly the greatest there. So as far as touchdown goes, I'm going to say Pickens. I would have to say so.
Pickens scores?
Pickens scores. And I would say Freiermuth.
Freiermuth?
Yeah. I think they're both red zone.
Wow. So you think Muth and Pickens both score in back-to-back games?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, the total here is plus 975 to 1 odds. So, okay, let's put 10 there. We can win 97.5 plus the 10 back. So place that, confirm that. There you go. So Hell yeah, let's go Steelers. And if you guys want to tail this, feel free to do so at betus.com. Take advantage of a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 when you use the promo code YouTube150 when signing up at betus.com today. Huge shout out to BetUS Sportsbook and Casino for sponsoring with us this live stream. Just please gamble responsibly. As we look, the Eagles, man, I don't know what caught up their ass in the second half, but they just blew out the Commanders. You see this?
Yeah.
Saquon got 2 touchdowns in the second half. Of course, the week I don't bet his money line. I don't bet his touchdown.
No, see, that's because you would have jinxed them.
The past 2 weeks, I bet Barkley.
Then again, who doesn't jinx, when you put wagers on it? Who doesn't jinx them? Let's be real.
Hurts got a touchdown. That helps me in fantasy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, rushing touchdown because that's all you can get.
I know. Terry McLaurin did nothing. 1 catch, 10 yards.
Yeah.
I feel insulted.
Yeah, Philly did a great job at locking him down.
I feel insulted as a Steelers fan.
Zach Ertz, he scored a touchdown against his former team.
Good for him.
Does it matter? Because, Philly's on their way to potentially winning.
Unbelievable. Well, we look at all the Week 11 games. Bears in Chicago, that should be a good game. Jacksonville, Detroit, that could be a blowout. Minnesota, Tennessee. Really? Is Will Levis still starting?
Yes.
Oh, God. Las Vegas at Miami.
Miami should. Come on. That should be a cakewalk for Miami.
I think Minshew starting. Rams at the Patriots.
Rams need to bounce back when?
Browns at Saints.
Oh, my God.
Who dat? Who dat?
Saints and their interim head coach, whatever the hell his name is. I can't remember. But, they pulled off the upset. So.
Colts at Jets. Who cares?
Anthony Richardson's back at quarterback.
That is awful.
Though I could have sworn that Shane Steichen said that when Flacco was named the starter that he was going forward with him.
Well, then
the rest of the way.
Well, then he switched his mind and said, no, Anthony Richardson's the quarterback the rest of the way.
But you know what's funny? I think earlier in the week he still said that, yeah, Joe Flacco's still the quarterback.
So which is
only
it?
for the next day he said, no, Richardson's now the quarterback.
So which is it?
I don't know. I don't know. It's the Colts situation there.
Ravens Steelers. That should be a great game.
Of course.
That's what we're all here for. Falcons and Broncos.
That could honestly be more defensive than people think.
Why are the Broncos the favorite? I don't think the Broncos are that good.
Their defense is good. I don't think the offense is consistent enough at scoring. I don't.
I think Kirk is going to have a good game.
I hope so.
Seahawks at San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, NFC West divisional matchup here.
That should be good.
McCaffrey's back. He had a good performance. I don't think he scored in that game, though, so I would say he's definitely due.
Thanks for the information. I appreciate that. Kansas City at Buffalo. This is what we're all here for in the later games. There's going to be some absolute fuckery.
How is Buffalo the favorite?
How?
Buffalo's the favorite.
Probably because they're at home.
And I know they're 8-2, and they're going to be. They should have Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman back, so that's going to be great weapons for Allen to have in this game. You couldn't ask for a better time to get them back, but it's just the Chiefs and Josh Allen going up against Kansas City. He just doesn't have a good performance against them.
Yeah, well, it's just the Chiefs. They're.
Though they almost lost to Denver, and they lucked out with a blocked field goal.
There's people making jokes that the first team that's going to beat the Chiefs is going to be the Bryce Young Panthers.
You know what? I hope to God that's the case.
That would be the most hilarious thing ever. I'm rooting for it.
I hope it happens, man. I really do. If it's not the Panthers, hey, come Christmas Day, hey.
One game at a time.
One game at a time, you're right, of course.
Nah, but we hope Buffalo wins, man. I don't want to see the Chiefs stay undefeated. We got the Bengals and Chargers. I'm going to go to the Chargers. Actually, no, I'm going to go to the Bengals.
No, I'm going to the Chargers, 6-3, I think, or whatever the record is.
Yeah.
I know some of their targets are getting involved a bit more, which is good for Herbert.
McConkey's getting good. I just don't think they have enough firepower to match with the Bengals.
No, Cincinnati's, they're getting a bit of a groove going offensively. Their defense just really can't stop much.
Yeah.
But I think Cincinnati gets it.
And we got Monday Night Football. We got the Texans at the Cowboys. Oh, God.
Okay, if CJ Stroud, I got Stroud starting in fantasy. If Stroud doesn't have a big performance here, then something's wrong. Because I don't know what's up with CJ Stroud this year. I don't. I know he's sustained injuries at wide receiver, but, like, holy crap. Stroud ain't really done much this year.
No.
And plus, the Texans, I think they lost, like, 2 straight. They need a win.
The Texans, yes.
Yeah. They need, and Dallas is just a shit show.
Yeah, they lost 2 straight.
Oh, my God.
Dude, Dallas is just...
And it's in Dallas, and they're winless at home.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, they need to lock up their season. Like, they just need to finish it off.
Dallas is a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Dallas, dude, is what's his name still starting?
Rush?
Cooper Rush?
Honestly, I don't know.
Fucking Sheamus over there?
That's one way to put it. Honestly, like, I told my buddy at work this, you know, like, if there's any chance, I don't think it happens. If there's any chance for Dallas to kind of, like, salvage anything, if they really desire to, if Jerry Jones really wants to, sign Ryan Tannehill because there's no other better option.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they do that because I don't know how you stick with Cooper Rush and Trey Lance for the rest of the season. I don't.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's Dallas' problem to figure out.
Steelers beat the Chiefs but lose to the Eagles. I can live with that. I can live with that too. Isn't that game in Philly? When was the last time we beat them in Philly?
I don't know. I can't remember.
When was the last time we beat them in Philly?
I can't remember.
I want to search it. What did someone put in the chat? Nathan, he says, we are not beating the Eagles. We haven't beat Eagles in Philly since 2008.
Super Bowl year then.
Wow. It's been a while.
It's been a bit, but you can say we're long overdue for it.
I don't know.
It's been almost 20 years.
I'm not even worried about the Chiefs right now. I'm just worried about the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, again, one game at a time.
Darnell Washington touchdown, book it. Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. I will do it. Don't think I won't.
Washington against that secondary is something I would love to see. I'm not even going to lie to you.
I would too.
I'd like to see somebody try to stop that.
Used to call Sheamus Ashy Dude. What? Ashy Dude.
I remember like people used to like make signs on the show. They would like have him on a mayonnaise jar or something.
I guess.
Remember that?
Yes.
Wait, Tyson slapped Jake Paul?
You didn't see that?
I'm just seeing it right now.
Yeah, it's going viral. Titans. Yo, okay.
Yeah, the slap heard around the world, right? Okay.
Okay, the game is in Philly. I thought so. All right,
it's in Philly, yeah.
I'm going to put a new poll in the chat before we get on out of here. Screw it. Because I want to see you guys' input.
Who wins tomorrow night, right?
Tyson to Paul. Who wins?
It's actually one of the reasons why, because normally we live stream these previews on Friday nights and whatnot. We decided to do it a day earlier because, you know, everyone's going to be watching that. It's going to be streaming on Netflix, dude.
I'll be watching it.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid. I'll
they
be
got,
watching
I think it was a 7-match fight card or whatnot.
Really?
I believe so.
It's all on Netflix?
Yeah.
And I ain't even got to pay for it. Let's go.
Technically, you do. Technically, I'm right? Technically,
yes,
you do.
but it's his prescription. It's not like a
Who doesn't have a Netflix subscription?
It's not like a $70 pay-per-view.
Yeah, screw that. You ain't paying $70 for that. Nope. But that's just the world we live in today. Like a lot of things are starting to go, streaming softwares. That's just how television and pay-per-views are nowadays.
I'm afraid that this fight is going to be super scripted, super tame. It's going to be just an absolute exhibition.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big money. Yeah, I get it.
It's a money grab.
A money grab. These guys are here just for that.
They're putting on a show to make it look like, oh, wow, it's going to be a legitimate fucking brawl. It's going to be a fight. But no, there might be something, passed under the table where it's just super, clickbaity, essentially. I'm hoping that's not the case. And obviously, I think we all want to see Tyson knock out Jake Paul, even at his age. God, 87% of you guys think Tyson wins.
Well, have you seen Tyson's training videos?
Of course.
You don't mess with Mike Tyson, dude. You don't mess with Mike Tyson.
Just saying.
I'm not taking anything away from Jake Paul's, dedication to it, but
I can't hate on Jake Paul and his grind. I can't. I could definitely criticize, who he went up against.
I think we all can.
I mean, isn't this like the first legit boxer he's going up against, and he's fucking 60 years old?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Jake always fought like former basketball players or whatever the case was.
I never really paid attention, but
I never really cared. But like this is Mike Tyson here.
Everyone's
saying Tyson's going to win.
Everyone's hyping this fight, and I'll be watching. So I'm hoping Tyson wins, man. I'm hoping tomorrow night.
I believe it's a is it 8-round or 10-round fight?
I don't know.
Here, I can check it right now. Tyson versus Paul.
Hey, listen. Here's the thing, though. The fact that Tyson is still fighting is kind of a crazy thing. It's almost as if Jordan would go back onto the court, which obviously never gonna happen. But it's like, as awful as this might be, as stupid as this might be, as clickbaity as this probably was going to be, it's one of those things where, I never saw Tyson fight. I was too young.
Okay, so it's 8-round.
8-round, okay.
8-round makes sense.
I never saw Tyson fight, right? I never seen him fight live. So it's kind of cool for me that, hey, at least I can say, hey, I saw Tyson fight live.
Sure.
As stupid as it's probably going to be, but at least I could say, hey, I saw Tyson fight live.
Mm-hmm.
Not in stadium, not in the arena, but at least,
live television,
right,
so to speak.
It's just one of those. It's just one of those things, man. I don't know. One of those things. I don't know. It's how you look at it. It's all about perspective.
No, but that's tomorrow night, man.
That's tomorrow night. I'll be looking forward to it.
Everybody's gonna be watching that.
80% of you guys think that Tyson wins. We all hope Tyson wins. We all hope so. So we'll see what happens tonight. Otherwise, we're going to get on out of here. We appreciate you guys for joining us for the Steelers versus Ravens live stream as we preview an intense Week 11 matchup, which will determine who will be first place in AFC North. Already tons of implications on this game. What team will want it more? What team will fight for it more? And it could come down to what offense makes the first mistake. We'll see what happens, man. We'll be live for it, as you guys know. I'm very excited for this game. I very much favor the Steelers. I think they can win this game. It's Steelers versus Ravens. It could go any way, but I'm hoping the Steelers walk out with a double and we go to 8-2 heading into a short week into Cleveland.
Yeah, big time. I love the matchups, that the Steelers are going up against here. They just got to capitalize. They got to attack their weak links. There's got to be protective of the football. They got to go out there, play just AFC North football right here because that's what's going to be.
It's going to be AFC North football, man. So you guys enjoy the rest of your night. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys Sunday, man. Here we go, Steelers. And let's knock off the Ravens' high horse, man. Let's knock them off their high horse. I want to win. A win versus the Ravens would just give me some super type of 80s Hulk Hogan energy. I can't explain it. I want to beat the Ravens.
I don't want to get hulked up over here.
I don't care how you do it. It could be very much like last week. I'll take a win. Let's beat the Ravens, man. Here
Let's
we go.
Let's get to 8-2, man.
8-2, and then potentially 9-2 in a week's time from now. Here we go, Steelers, man. See you guys in the next one.
And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace!